Good morning, traders. Welcome to another Flow Show. We write Thursday, the 14th of August already. Before we dive into whatever happened and what people were saying overnight and this morning, first of all, just a reminder that you can still sign up for our 40% anti-inflation and cool summer discounts on every monthly subscription. So for those who haven't joined our community, and I have to say, more and more people are joining the community, which is great, of course, because we always have like really great conversations, giving each other ideas about what's going on, potential trades, etc. It's really the community is blooming. So no further delay, I would say. Come and join us. Also, you can still put your name and your email address here to be made aware of all the changes that are coming when we will morph from Forex analytics into trading analytics. You will also be entered into a sweepstake to win a free trader funding program account and also a how should I say, a coaching session with one of our coaches as well if you are drawn out of the hat at the end of the month. I suppose that we are going to do that draw. So without further delay, you can sign up. Only sign up once. You will be on our mailing list and then automatically enlisted for to win those goodies. All right, what has happened and who has said what overnight? We had a couple of comments, first of all, from Bostic and Goolsby, some of the Fed members. Bostic is still seeing only one cut this year, as the jobs market, according to him, is still near full employment, and the Fed has the luxury to be patient and to avoid rushing decisions. Goulby, the weather vane, on the other hand, was saying that September is alive. The job market, he thinks, is still solid despite the latest numbers, which could be the result of lower immigration, according to him. But he is more leaning towards a cut than in September. Um, to go for bigger cuts, one of the conditions he said that was that inflation needs more clarity going forward. So we're still a bit in indecision there for both of them. We also had the Bank of Canada minutes out. It's keeping, let's say, the Canadian dollar just on the defensive because they considered to do a cut, but they were also needing more clarity on everything. That's really clarity is the new transitory, is the new indecision. So everybody needs more clarity, but just know that there was a discussion about a rate cut there. So which may hint that if nothing really improves over into the next meeting, which is going to be on the same day as the Fed in September, which is going to be on the 17th. What else? We had, before I move on to all things Ukraine and that meeting upcoming in Alaska. Um, Yesterday, Trump spoke to the European leaders. The European leaders are really stressing on the fact that there should be a ceasefire coming out of that summit. Also, saying that what did the Germans say again? No, that was von der Leyen actually saying that she had a very good call and that Europe, US, and NATO. So she spoke about NATO have strengthened the common ground for Ukraine as well. As I said, I'm going to come back onto that Alaska thing. In the meantime, Besant, he was on yesterday, spoke for a good few hours, it seems, and he spoke about really everything. He spoke on trade. He said that the China investments should not be part of investments into the US should not be part of a US-China trade deal. He was talking about that NVIDIA arrangement as well, saying that the taxpayer will get the benefit from that NVIDIA China sales tax that they made an agreement about. NVIDIA is going to pay 15% taxes on every chip that they sell to China. And then he also said he was talking about the list of Fed committee replacements. There will be private sector names in there. He doesn't expect Miran to stay on past his opening stint. He would not support BLS Antoni's idea to suspend publication of the monthly NFP print. Um, and then he went on to his tirade on central banking. So, first of all, one for the Fed saying that his models, or all models, well, it depends which model you look at, um, is showing that the Fed funds should be 150 to 175 basis points lower by now. And he was then pointing at the numbers, the revisions for the job numbers, and saying that the Fed should have started already to cut before, because if those numbers would have been showing the real data. So he is really advocating for Fed cuts, as most in Trump's administration do. And he said that the Fed could start with a 50 BPs in September, okay, and going into a rate cut cycle from there. Now, and then the man really is on many missions, because now he's also a Bank of Japan man, and he said that he had spoken to Bank of Japan Ueda, said that Japan needs to get their inflation problem under control, and he is advocating for more rate hikes of the Bank of Japan. So now he's also an advisor to the Bank of Japan board, by the way. Uh, and amongst all the other hats that he's already wearing. Coming just quickly back on that on the Fed nominees, it seems that Trump and his committee had managed to narrow it down to 3 to 4 names, and Trump also said that he could name the next Fed chair a bit early. Obviously, it'll have to wait until at least after the summit that they will have tomorrow in Alaska. But that's where we are with all those Besant comments as well. What else? Okay, then we can move over to the Alaska summit. So it's been confirmed that it's the Russian delegation that confirmed the timeline of this Alaska summit, and it will be starting tomorrow at 11:30 local time, which is 19:30 GMT, 20:30 UK local time, and there will be a press conference between Trump and Russian Putin after the meetings that they will have, which means that the market closes just half an hour after the official market closes just half an hour after the summit starts, and FX markets then close also an hour later, which means that we are building up for weekend risk. Okay, so this is something that really everybody should now bear in mind, that whatever happens between now and then, and we will have data out between now and then. But whatever happens on those data, we can safely say that the meter will be turned back to zero, and we can start to count again from Sunday night, because Trump already said that something will have to be decided over that meeting. Read at least an air truce before being able to talk about a second meeting to then drill down and see more details. Also, he did say yesterday that he agreed only Ukraine can negotiate territorial concessions. So that plan that he put on the table earlier, or this blueprint of a negotiation plan, was including that Russia could keep at least some of the territorial gains. Now he came back on that, and he said that only Ukraine can negotiate territorial concessions. It's still not clear whether Zelensky will be or won't be involved in that first meeting, whether I haven't seen that he would be there live, but maybe he can intervene somewhere via media also. I don't really know. I'm still leaving that in the middle. I haven't seen confirmation nor denial of him being involved somewhere on in those discussions. So, but know that the timeline of this, it's going to be tricky, and the real headlines can drop after the market close tomorrow. Okay, so bear that in mind. Right, just give me just 1 second, please. Taking a sip of water. Right, back. What happened on the data front then? Um, Yesterday we had a bit of the oils a build as the API was showing as well. Not really too much else since the face show really. We already spoke about Bostic and Goolsby, about Trump's comments, the Bank of Canada. Then we had a few data out. The Australian data, okay, quite good because it's a full-time thing. Participation rate stayed roughly the same, just a little lower than the prior one. Actually, this one has been revised. It's just 0.1% lower. The unemployment rate also ticked 0.1 down again. Should be good numbers, but we have seen since the start of the day that the dollar has made a bit of a comeback against most of the currencies, barring sterling perhaps. But it's and the yen, for which I will talk about obviously a bit later on the back of those Besant comments. But it couldn't keep its gains. The Aussie dollar once more and once more we are struggling with this 65.5 zone. Then we had the sterling numbers out. Green, but look, I mean, we have to admit this is not like a roaring economy, which is showing like a 2-3% growth. It is still okay. It is green versus expectations. The industrial production also was okay as well, but we're still not running at multiple percentage as well. Um, this one gave the business investment or gave the gains of the prior quarter all back. But then we had the trade balance, and of course we will know as those tariff situations become clearer and clearer, trade deals become getting more clarity. The trade balances will get more and more important. Okay, it's a bit of a wider trade balance, but the activity numbers have been ticking up a little bit. So yes, this doesn't look very good on the face of it, but if activity rises, it's not too bad a report either. Okay, so I think that is pretty neutral compared to what we usually see in the UK trade balance. Sorry. Then over to the Swedish CPI, more or less as expected. I think all those CPIs that we see now are all final numbers, okay? So compared to the flash data, no change. Swiss PPI came out a little weak, but one would not notice it in the price action in Swiss franc. It's still a very, very stubborn currency. Then we had, as I said, the final data of the French CPI. Also, the final data. Oh no, still not the final ones. We are half Q3. Um, on in the Eurozone, average to negative for the month of June as well on the industrial production. Doesn't look great, but we have seen that number also, which is obviously impacted in to a certain extent by what happens in Germany. The German industrial production numbers were also not good. Okay, nothing to see on the employment change. Next, PPI today, claims today. Um, yeah, PPI is somewhat, people will say the early CPI, but as I said yesterday, I place it a notch lower on the importance list versus the CPIs, right? Yes, we have to take it into account. Yes, it will have the market move a little bit, but will it move for longer than the 15, 20 minutes? I'm not really sure, just because of the little bit more volatile nature of PPI data. The claims so far, nothing to see there. We had okay data. The market, I think, is desperately looking for this number to start to show up some of the weakness that perhaps the NFP report was showing, but so far nothing really has been um, nothing really has been shown in those data. Brand people get ahead of themselves of front run. Yeah, well, we had the CPI out, just the CPI out. So I think this is, I don't know, confirmation of, but we had this uptick in the core, but the headline number stayed around the 2.7%. So I'm not going to read too much into it. I have another round of barking, third time this week already. We are supposed to hear again from Trump, which is also a nearly daily occurrence, obviously. And then before the next flow show, we will have the Japanese GDP data. And just a quick word on what happened there in the yen, because yesterday when Besant was talking about this Bank of Japan uh, thing, and that he spoke to Ueda, the market reacted, but then the market stabilized. But it seems like there's been a bit of a repeat or so, or more comments out as the Asian session started, and all of a sudden, let's say Japanese market was probably a bit running a bit too short yen, and all of a sudden we started to break levels there as well in the dollar yen and the yen crosses. But we will have a look at the rates later. It could be yet again perhaps a temporary setback, because let's face it, Besant is Besant. Okay, we know that they are pushing Bank of Japan to hike rates. They try to push for a lower dollar yen, and we also know that those they can have an impact, but usually that impact is of a temporary nature. So I think what happened in Japan really was a run for short-term run. We also saw even the Nikkei come down a percent overnight. So it's really perhaps the market running a bit too fast with short yen and needing to adjust it. But anyway, we have a few data out. Again, Q2 data. How deep will the impact be? Well, the impact may be when we get further away from expectations data here, okay? And then we will have China's industrial production out as well for the month of July. We will have yet another Swiss GDP number. It was slightly, I think the Q1 was slightly better than expected, if I recall correctly, but I'm not going to bet on it. But we will see where that ends up. For the time being, as I said, Swiss is rather rangy than really continuing to weaken what it should do. And then we will see what happens tomorrow. And I think this will have a bigger impact tomorrow, and because we will also have, first of all, those retail sales, and that is going to be important because the Fed looks at the consumer, obviously, and we will have a first indication about the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, it is also a pretty volatile number. And then Blake was asking about the Michigan. Just know that this is a data set of communicating vases. If you see a good consumer sentiment, that means that they will expect inflation to come down. Now, there's a lot still going on about inflation, so we will see what those numbers, those preliminary numbers will show us. But that is food for tomorrow. Okay, right. What has happened and what may happen? Let's first stick to the yen. Okay. So this is, and I'm going to go on the tighter one. So this is what happened. Where was it? This is what happened yesterday when we had those comments from Besant, and then it stabilized. And into the evening, not a lot was happening. But then as Japan walked in, they decided to go for another round, and it is really been attributed to those Besant comments. Now, um, let's have a quick look at the Japanese yields. And if you look at this, the Japanese yields have actually jumped a little bit overnight. So this also explains this move. This also explains the move that we saw in the Nikkei, because rates and Nikkei in Japan tend to move opposite ways as well, especially in this case. But it will be important to see what happens next. Okay. Again, as I said, those blips, we have seen them, people getting out of positions. Can we get lower? Yes, of course. We have data out. We have um, well, weekend risk as well, but just on the day, we could see a bit lower if PPI declines, if we see a weaker claims report in out of the US as well, we can come down. But I'd say only based on that Besant comment, I wouldn't really think, or yeah, I wouldn't really say it's warranted that we go too much further down. The rest will be up to the dollar really. It can come down to 148, 145.80. That's a possibility. But then just be careful. If ever we start to regain that 146.80, and then you start to run here back into the 147s, get back above 147.10 or so, that will tell us that it was a short-term blip. Okay. Yen crosses all look pretty much the same. All look the same. Euro yen has rejected the 173, as we saw, which could be relatively important, because we also saw these tops around here. So this is really, if we ever get a retest there, this is a level that you need to bear in mind. Okay, we are coming on some support here around 170. 170.90, 171, the figure, stretch it to 170.70 perhaps. Watch that zone if it would at some stage retest. If it holds, I think again this will tell us that it may have been a temporary setback only, but we will see what's going to happen on those rates in Japan. Euro dollar, we left a little untested there, on the top end of that expected rebound, or I was telling you about that 35.50 zone in the euro dollar. We ran just a little short, and now we're coming back into some sort of support. If I'm correct in saying we are in a range building still formation right now, obviously we will have data, and we will have that Alaska summit, which is going to impact the euro, okay? Because Ukraine is right at the euro's doorstep, so it will have an impact on the euro, whether it's positive on a ceasefire, whether it's um, a bit negative if nothing comes out of it. But as I said, maybe if Trump manages to broker a ceasefire, it may actually be better for euro crosses than it is for euro dollar, because even the dollar could um, enjoy a bit of support on the back of it. But anyway, 116, 117 and a half is somewhere the area because we've seen the top here, the top here, the bottoms here, the bottoms there, is somewhere my ballpark that I'm looking at right now for potential moves if we break outside of it. So 117.5 is here. It's that crossroad. 116 is here. And in intermediate, we have this 116, 50, 65. Okay. This on the day could already be enough. If it is enough, we will be in a stepping up formation here, and we could then go and finally have that test of the 117.35.50 before the week is over. This is a good potential. Okay. I'm not seeing too much to also justify a bigger dollar rally right now. That's why I think we are rather building a bit of a range here. Cable has a different look, okay, because and I will show the euro sterling, because the euro sterling, the sterling crosses are holding up much better than, for instance, if you look at pure euro crosses. Okay, so the cable is holding up much better. We did tag the July high where we shied away because we're seeing a bit of a dollar revival as well, or dollar comeback as well. But we are staying a lot closer to that top right now. We are actually trading only a few pips away. I thought with the dollar doing a bit better yesterday evening and then coming into this morning, there may have been a case for retesting 133, 30.40. It has not, because of the euro sterling. So any dollar weakness from here, I think the cable is still going to be one that is going to enjoy the ride a bit better. And I think we could be in for a test of that 136.5. Okay. Well, 136 3/4 is also possible looking at those levels, but I've got a trend line around 136.5. Maybe I need to adjust it a little bit to reflect that 136 3/4 as well. Call it 136 half 3/4 then, just because this one has been breaking down through the short-term channel here. Also, the longer-term, more medium-term trend line from June has been broken, and we are now on quite decent support. 86, the figure, is not only the 38.2 of this rally that we saw from end of May into the end of July, but also if you look at a bit longer term, it is also, and that is a 2-year move here, it is also the halfway of this big decline again. Okay. Okay, we could argue, and technical specialists may argue that it has already been trading up and down, but look at what's happening before. Every time you reach that 86, the figure, there is a decision to make. Well, the decision has to be made again, and we are turning around. The market is definitely respecting the level, so we will see what's happening further. I'm just testing to see if we can go for a break after the Q2 GDP. I sold some euro sterling, but I'm not going to hang around too long. If it starts to go back above 30, 35, I'm probably going to be out. But I just want to see if this sterling support can still have further legs, and we can get back down to somewhere around this 85.5, which is the next zone of support, I would say. Yes, it has been moving a lot, but still allow for euro sterling to be undecided for a while, because sometimes it can slow down a bit as well. And we are, after all, still in the summer months. Maybe there is not enough strength to really go for the big move lower, but for the time being, it does look still a bit negative. Okay. Others to watch. Disappointed about the Aussie. Pretty disappointed. Take the box. Hang on. Take the. I'm just going to hide it for a little while. Take the box away. We are in a bit of a range. We jobs report couldn't hold it, and we're already back below the 35.50 zone. Just we are on this little bit of a support here. We could perhaps add a little here, but as you can see, I mean, there's not a lot before 65.10 or so, 65. The figure, if the dollar continues to regain some strength. It's been typical for those commodity currencies to have that immediate move when we get data or a central bank decision, and then completely either reverse or completely lose steam. It just tells me that perhaps there is not too much of long-term players involvement over here, and we could just continue to range a bit. If the dollar keeps a bit of strength, it's potentially still going to have a look lower, and that despite very big equity markets where normally Aussie Kiwi should like higher equity markets, they are still a bit failing. So yeah, I'm a bit in doubt about the viability of this rally right here and now. And as you say, Brand, it is August. Kiwi did exactly the same thing. We rallied. Yesterday was looking quite positive. Even yesterday, towards the evening, we had a bit of a retest of 59.65.70 and rebounded. And now we are already below again and looking not so fresh anymore. So it is possible that we are going to see at some stage a retest of this 59.20.30, and then we will see what the market wants to do with it. Okay, but again, same thing as on the Aussie, lack of power and perhaps lack of just involvement of more players in this market. Okay. And then let's have a look at what's happening in the metals. As I said yesterday, yo-yo. And what happened? We had a retest of the 33.70.75, just rejected again. We had a move back down somewhere at 33.40. You remember what I said, just between 33.40 and 33.10. We have a big, if you look left, all the time congestion zone and traffic zone, okay, before decisions are made, but it is, and if you look back, it is really a zone of traffic, this 33.10.40, and we bounced from it again, and we are trading in right somewhere in the middle right now. And I think unless yields, unless the dollar picks a real side in global terms, um, unless that happens, I think we'll have to wait for the direction for the Alaska summit. I think everything that happens before may just end up being a bit of a push too far topside or downside, and there is a really good chance we end up tomorrow evening going into the Alaska summit. There is a chance that we end up right in the middle here and going into that summit. Okay. Um, that for gold. Silver is still doing better, but the prices haven't changed. We are hovering around this 38 whatever. Yesterday it was looking a bit positive, but the same excuse me, similar thing happened than in gold really. We had this little push higher, dollar coming back a little, and we're coming back to more neutral zone here, 38 and a quarter-ish. Again, there as well. Could be that we need to wait for positive signs on the summit tomorrow. It's going to probably live its own life in the meantime. I would still say my global feeling that silver may do a bit better than gold is still unchanged right now, unless we have really bad news on tomorrow's summit. Then gold will outshine silver, obviously. Joao, Aussie Kiwi, I have not really looked at it for a long while because we had this move, yes, then we came back in the middle of the park, and look at that. I mean, this is not really inspiring me too much right now. Yeah, people are looking at this 109.80. and then other people are looking at 109 the figure, and look what happens. It's just moving in the middle. I don't see what's going to cause a break right now. Um, there isn't enough divergence between what's happening in New Zealand perhaps and in Australia. So I kind of think that they may continue to just walk together with the difference of excuse me, with the difference of how should I say, speed, because one has to know, and that's something that all people, you need to know when you trade what the different liquidities are in different instruments. And for instance, if you look at the difference between the Kiwi and the Aussie is obviously a deeper market. So when they both move, perhaps the Kiwi is going to move a little bit faster. You can compare euro dollar cable, for instance. You can also compare gold and silver. Silver is a smaller market. So, but apart from those differences, I don't really see what should take this one apart or have it break up right now unless we see really divergence in the numbers. Also, if you look at um, the employment rate that we had, of course, Australia is running a bit higher, but then you have a bigger population, you have a bigger immigration. But the interest rates, for instance, are not that far away from each other either. So 3.25% or so in the Kiwi land, if I recall correctly, and then Australia is running at 3.6. So Joao, I don't really see what is going to break this one either side right now on the fundamental side of things. One to have a look at here, and I've been really scratching my head on this one. Yes, ahead of 1850, we still see buyers, but then there has been a very sharp move in the dollar mix ahead of any of the other dollars. Even though the rand wasn't moving, the well, the dollar in general yesterday at that time wasn't moving. So I'm desperately looking still, clutching at straws and trying to figure out what caused this move other than some buyers. Obviously, may have been a big volume day. It's possible. But the only thing I saw is that Mexico sent, what is it, 26 supposed cartel members over to the US. I'm not sure that warrants such a move in the mix. I would even say the opposite. If you keep the U.S. administration happy and show that you fight the cartels, etc., would it not be rather a positive development? So, as I was saying yesterday on Face and before, I was running a bit short. I actually just went out of it because for relatively flat because I don't know what this move really means. Now, price-wise, last time we had this little spike above, but last time we stopped around 1870. We can see a low here, little spike, but then, okay, the 1870 showed up. It showed up here, here, here. So 1870 is the level that we are looking at. If it breaks up, then we can start to think about a move back up into this area. But for as long as it caps, this may just be again short covering of some sort, unless, as I said, I missed another um, a news headline of any sorts. Guys, I am done for today. Anything that you really want to me to have a look at? Oh no, I forgot to talk about the one thing. We had Norges Bank also today. They left the rates unchanged. They have mostly spoken both sides of the white line. Could be, could not be. Risks, yes, but the risk could not materialize. But they are expecting more cuts into the end of this year. But also the governor said that it may be only one cut or it all depends. And we are a bit in the middle of the ballpark here on the Euro Norway. Just know that Euro Norway has rallied a lot. um, I'm not going to front run too much here because if we start to break above 12, it could really rally. But I would say from where we are here, looking at that 12 zone, I think it may just be enough. And I'm starting to look at Norwegian kroner, and I'm not sure whether it is worth doing a dollar or the cross or whatever. Maybe the cross can still be the most simple expression of it, but I am starting to keep an eye on this, and I would love to see another push there towards 12 and then confirm it's a top again, to perhaps try to trade the other side in Norwegian krona for a just for a little bit. Also, I've been looking at those oils, etc. Um, they have been dumping quite a bit, but are we not somewhere around supports on that zone as well? So that is it for me for today. Trade safely. Don't overdo it, I would say, for the next session and a half, because, as I said, there's a lot coming up, and especially that Alaska summit tomorrow. So have a great day. Thank you for joining me again today, and we shall talk to each other tomorrow. Have a good day.